Commander Vex Kraloth's three eyes twitched simultaneously as he stared at the tactical display aboard the Galactic Defense Force vessel Paranoid Delusion. The massive asteroid, roughly the size of a small moon, was hurtling through space on a collision course with mining station Omega-7. More importantly, it was heading straight for the human section of the station. "Lieutenant Squeakerson," Kraloth barked, his voice carrying the weight of someone who'd spent 40 years convinced that the universe was personally out to get him. Lieutenant Pip Squeakerson, a young Zephyrian whose enthusiasm level could power a small star, practically bounced to attention. "Yes, Commander. Should we initiate emergency protocols? Launch rescue shuttles? Send a strongly worded diplomatic message to the asteroid?" "Negative," Kraloth said, settling back in his command chair with the satisfaction of someone about to prove a long-held theory. "This is perfect. Finally, we'll have definitive proof that humans are just as fragile as every other species in the galaxy. I'm tired of hearing these ridiculous stories about their supposed durability." Down on mining station Omega-7, Jake Tank Morrison was having a perfectly normal Tuesday morning. Well, as normal as any morning could be when you're operating a plasma drill the size of a city bus while floating in the vacuum of space. Jake had been doing construction work for 15 years, and this gig was actually pretty cushy compared to his last job building bridges over active volcanoes on Pyraxis Prime. He took a sip of coffee from his helmet's built-in dispenser and surveyed the asteroid field they were clearing for the new shipping lane. The pay was decent, the hours were flexible, and nobody was shooting at him, which automatically made it better than his stint with the Colonial Marines. "Tank, you copy?" crackled the voice of Supervisor Rodriguez through the comm. "Yeah, boss, what's up?" "Just checking in. Sensors are picking up some weird readings in your sector. You see anything unusual?" Jake glanced around at the endless void of space, punctuated by the occasional floating rock. "Define unusual. Because if you mean floating rocks in an asteroid field, then yeah, I'm seeing lots of unusual stuff." "Never mind, probably just sensor ghosts. Keep up the good work." Back on the Paranoid Delusion, Commander Kraloth was practically vibrating with anticipation. The asteroid was now less than 30 minutes from impact, and the human showed no signs of awareness. Perfect. "Mia." "Sir," Lieutenant Squeakerson said, his voice wavering slightly, "shouldn't we at least warn him? The impact readings show this will be fatal to any known species. Even crystalline beings from Fortress World would be completely obliterated." "Absolutely not," Kraloth replied. "This is a learning opportunity. For too long, humans have had this ridiculous reputation for being indestructible. Construction accidents that would wipe out entire Gleep colonies, they just walk away from. Industrial incidents that would vaporize a tentacled one. They complain about the paperwork. It's time to see what happens when they face real danger." The asteroid continued its relentless approach, and Jake continued his relentless coffee consumption, completely unaware that he was about to become the subject of what would later be classified as Incident Report 42 Alpha. The day physics gave up and started drinking. Aria-9000. The station's artificial intelligence chose that exact moment to perform her daily system diagnostic. With the impeccable timing that only comes from being programmed by the lowest bidder, she announced, "Good morning, Station Omega-7. Today's weather forecast for the vacuum of space is dark with a chance of absolute zero. Also, we appear to have an incoming projectile with a 99.7% probability of causing fatal impact trauma." Jake paused mid-drill. "Come again, Aria." "Oh, nothing important. Just a small asteroid roughly the size of Manhattan's shopping district heading directly for your current coordinates. Impact in approximately 47 seconds. Please remember to file the appropriate incident reports in triplicate." "Well, that's just great," Jake muttered, not bothering to look up from his work. "I just started this section." The asteroid hit Jake Morrison with the force of a small nuclear weapon. The impact registered on sensors throughout the system, sending shockwaves that rattled equipment 3 sectors away. The collision generated enough energy to power a small city for a year, and the flash of light was visible from orbit. On the Paranoid Delusion, Every alarm was screaming. The tactical display showed readings that shouldn't have been possible, energy signatures that would have turned a galactic dreadnought into its component atoms. Impact confirmed. Lieutenant Squeakerson shouted over the chaos. Energy release equivalent to 4,000 tons of antimatter. Radiation levels are off the charts, sir. Nothing could survive that. Commander Kraloth leaned forward, his expression grim with satisfaction. Finally. Now the galaxy will see that humans aren't the invincible monsters they pretend to be. Begin recording for the official report. The dust cloud began to settle, revealing the impact site. And there, in the center of what should have been a crater suitable for a small lake, was Jake Morrison. He was standing upright, brushing asteroid debris off his hard hat with one hand while holding his coffee cup with the other. "Aw, come on," Jake's voice came through the comm system, sounding more annoyed than anything else. "Look at this mess. And my coffee's all over the place now." The bridge of the paranoid delusion fell silent except for the continued wailing of alarms. "Aria," Jake continued, "add asteroid cleanup to my work order. And somebody's going to have to explain to me why nobody mentioned there was a rock coming. I could have moved my equipment." Aria 9000's voice drifted through the comm with the enthusiasm of someone reading a grocery list. "Certainly, Jake. I should also mention that the impact appears to have compressed your bone density by approximately 12%, increased your muscle mass by roughly 8%, and somehow improved your cholesterol levels. Medical recommends we schedule more asteroids." "Great. Now I'll have to update my insurance forms." Lieutenant Squeakerson's voice came out as a strangled whisper. "Sir, he's still there. He's still intact." Commander Kraloth's worldview was cracking like an egg hit by a sledgehammer. "That's impossible. Run the sensors again. Check for equipment malfunction." "Sensors are working perfectly, sir. In fact, they're working so well they're picking up the human's heartbeat from here. It's completely steady. Actually, it might be a little slower than before, like he found the experience relaxing." Dr. Blimsworth tentacles materialized on the bridge in a cloud of emergency transport particles, his medical equipment hovering around him like metallic butterflies. As the chief medical officer for Sector 7, he'd seen everything from plasma burns to dimensional displacement syndrome, but this was his first human survive the impossible case. "Where's the casualty?" he demanded, his tentacles already reaching for various medical instruments. "I brought the full trauma kit, including the resurrection protocols and a backup personality matrix in case we need to reconstruct his consciousness from scattered atoms." "That's the problem, Doctor," Commander Kraloth said, his voice hollow with confusion. "There is no casualty. The human is fine. More than fine. He's complaining about paperwork." Dr. Tentacles squinted at the main screen, where Jake was now methodically collecting pieces of asteroid and tossing them into what appeared to be a waste disposal unit the size of a small building. "Impossible. Let me scan him." The medical scanners hummed to life, sending waves of diagnostic energy toward Jake's location. Immediately, half the equipment started smoking. "Fascinating," Dr. Tentacles muttered, frantically adjusting controls. "His cellular structure appears to have been enhanced by the impact. Bone density is through the roof, muscle fibers have reorganized into some kind of super-efficient configuration, and his reflexes, good grief. His reflexes are now faster than our targeting computers." "So he's injured?" Lieutenant Squeakerson asked hopefully. "Injured? Lieutenant, this human appears to have been improved by an impact that should have scattered his atoms across 3-star systems. It's like he absorbed the energy and used it for a personal upgrade." On the station, Jake had moved on to the next phase of his morning routine, checking his equipment for damage. The plasma drill, which had taken the asteroid impact right alongside him, was completely unharmed. The work platform showed some scorch marks but was otherwise functional. His lunchbox, however, had been knocked over, which was apparently the real tragedy. "Aria," Jake said, "my sandwich got asteroid dust on it." "That's going to come out of someone's paycheck." "I'll make a note in the incident report," Aria replied with mechanical cheerfulness. Should I list this as a minor workplace inconvenience or a catastrophic failure of galactic understanding? Better go with minor inconvenience. I don't want corporate thinking I can't handle a simple asteroid to the face. Dr. Tentaclus was now running every scan in his considerable medical arsenal. Commander, I need to understand something. What exactly do humans consider a serious injury? Commander Kraloth pulled up Jake Morrison's personnel file. According to his employment records, he once listed a previous injury as got stepped on by a Mega Rex during the Jurassic Station incident. Under severity, he marked it as annoying. A Mega Rex weighs 400 tons. Yes, he took 3 days off work and returned complaining that the medical leave was boring. Dr. Tentaclus felt several of his tentacles go numb. What about the time he supposedly fell into a black hole? Temporal displacement accident during the Kronos project. He was late for work the next day and blamed traffic. The doctor's equipment was now actively refusing to scan Jake, displaying error messages like subject too durable for analysis and please scan something less ridiculous. Professor Glorbnax the Wise materialized on the bridge in a swirl of academic robes and the smell of old books. At 847 years old, he held 17 different doctoral degrees, had published over 3,000 research papers, and was widely considered the galaxy's foremost expert on impossible phenomena. He took one look at the tactical display and immediately requested a very strong drink. Fascinating, he wheezed, adjusting his spectacles with a trembling appendage. In all my centuries of study, I've never seen anything quite like this. The energy readings suggest this human should be a small cloud of superheated plasma by now. That's what we thought too, Professor, Commander Kraloth said. But he's down there asking if anyone knows how to get asteroid dust out of coffee. Professor Glorbnax began unpacking equipment that looked like it had been designed by someone who'd read about science in a fever dream. Crystalline resonators hummed next to probability calculators, while quantum measuring devices beeped softly at subatomic analysis chambers. Obviously, the human must be using some form of advanced technology, the professor declared. Personal force fields, molecular restructuring, temporal displacement shields. The possibilities are endless. Down on the station, Jake had just noticed the increasing number of ships gathering in orbit around his work site. Hey, Aria, why are there 17 different vessels out there? Are we expecting company? Oh, those are just scientists, military observers, medical teams, and what appears to be a documentary crew from the Galactic Geographic Channel. They're all very interested in your recent asteroid interaction. My what now? The large rock that hit you approximately 47 minutes ago. The one that registered as fatal on all known sensors? Jake looked around at the scattered asteroid debris. That little thing? I thought something felt off about this morning. Usually takes at least 2 asteroids before I'm fully awake. Professor Glorbnax's equipment was now producing readings that violated several laws of physics and at least one law of common sense. Impossible, he muttered, checking and rechecking his instruments. According to these scans, the human cellular structure is somehow more durable than our ship's armor plating. Professor Lieutenant Squeakerson ventured, what if humans really are just that tough? The ancient scientist's laugh was the sound of someone whose entire worldview had just been fed through a paper shredder. My dear Lieutenant, that would suggest that humans are naturally more resilient than species that evolved specifically for survival in the most hostile environments in the galaxy. It would mean that these friendly, cooperative beings who share their technology and make excellent coffee are actually walking disasters that could accidentally level cities. Well, when you put it like that. Professor Glorbnax's most advanced scanner exploded in a shower of sparks. The device, capable of analyzing matter down to the quantum level, had apparently given up after trying to understand how Jake's morning routine had just improved his physical capabilities. This is unprecedented, the professor declared, watching his life's work literally go up in smoke. I need to run more tests. Jake's voice crackled through the comm system. Hey, whoever's up there with all the fancy equipment, could you keep it down? I'm trying to work here, and all that scanning is making my dental work hum. Commander Kraloth was experiencing what mental health professionals would later classify as acute reality displacement syndrome with a side order of existential crisis. He sat in his command chair, staring at Jake Morrison's personnel file like it contained the secrets of the universe. Which, in a way, it did. "Lieutenant," he said slowly, "pull up the human's employment history again." "Yes, sir." Jake Morrison, age 32, construction experience includes volcanic bridge construction on Pyraxis Prime, underwater welding in the abyssal trenches of Aquatica, radiation shielding installation around the neutron star mining facility, and Lieutenant Squeakerson's voice trailed off. "Sir, it says here he once used a black hole as a waste disposal unit." That was classified as an innovative solution to the garbage problem, Professor Glorbnax added weakly. We thought it was a joke. Down on the station, Jake had apparently decided that since everyone was watching anyway, he might as well get some work done. He was now clearing asteroids by simply walking into them, letting them shatter against his hard hat, and sweeping up the pieces. "Aria," Jake said conversationally, "remind me to file a complaint about the quality of these asteroids. They're way too soft. I barely felt that last one." "Certainly, Jake. Should I also mention that the asteroid you just walked through was composed of compressed neutron matter and should have weighed approximately 47 billion tons? Yeah, add that too. Substandard materials are a safety hazard." Commander Kraloth felt something snap in his brain. "Professor, show me the database entry for human durability." Professor Glorbnax pulled up the galactic species database, scrolling to the human entry. "Here we are. Humans, carbon-based bipedal species, notable for their adaptability and cooperative nature. Durability rating, standard. Threat level, negligible. Special notes, makes excellent coffee and surprisingly good diplomats." "And what's the durability rating for, say, a crystalline fortress being?" "Maximum. They're literally made of living diamond and feed on cosmic radiation." "And their threat level?" "Extreme. One fortress being can level a continent." Commander Kraloth pointed at the screen, where Jake was now juggling pieces of neutron matter while humming what sounded like an ancient human work song. "Does that look standard to you?" The truth was beginning to dawn on the assembled aliens like a sunrise made of pure terror. Humans weren't the friendly, fragile beings they pretended to be. They were walking apocalypses who happened to be really nice about it. "Sir," Lieutenant Squeakerson whispered, "if humans are this durable by accident, what happens when they're actually trying to be tough?" Before anyone could answer, Jake's voice filled the bridge with casual, terrifying revelation. "You know, this reminds me of my worst work accident. Back when I was doing demolition on the Titan Fortress. We had a little oopsie with the planetary defense grid." "What kind of oopsie?" Dr. Tentaclus asked, though he clearly didn't want to know. "Oh, nothing major. The whole defense network exploded and took out about half the moon. I got caught in the blast, spent 3 days unconscious in the medical bay. Worst part was missing my daughter's birthday party." The bridge fell silent except for the sound of Professor Glorbnax's remaining equipment spontaneously giving up and shutting down. "The Titan Fortress incident was classified as a natural disaster," Commander Kraloth said faintly. "The energy release was equivalent to a supernova." "Yeah, lousy safety protocols," Jake agreed. "That's why I always wear my hard hat now." 3 hours later, the assembled fleet of scientific vessels, military observers, and increasingly nervous diplomats watched as Jake Morrison finished his shift. He'd cleared the entire asteroid field, reorganized the mineral deposits by atomic weight, and somehow improved the local space-time stability just by working in the area. Commander Kraloth was updating the galactic database with shaking hands. Under the human entry, he deleted durability rating, standard, and replaced it with durability rating, error, please consult nearest philosopher. The threat level had been changed from negligible to deceptively catastrophic, handle with extreme caution and excellent coffee. "Sir," Lieutenant Squeakerson asked, "should we warn the rest of the galaxy?" "Warn them of what?" That the species that's been helping us build hospitals and sharing cookie recipes can accidentally survive supernovas. That they've been treating city-leveling disasters as minor workplace inconveniences. Commander Kraloth laughed, a sound like a broken hyena. Who would believe us? Professor Glorbnax had given up on science entirely and was now writing poetry about the futility of understanding the universe. Dr. Tentaclus was seriously considering a career change, possibly to something less stressful like bomb disposal or volcano surfing. Down on the station, Jake was packing up his equipment and looking forward to getting home. It had been a good day at work, no major accidents, nobody got hurt, and he'd even gotten some overtime clearing that debris field. "Arya," he said, sealing up his toolkit, "anything else on the schedule for today?" Arya 9000's voice carried a note of mechanical resignation that shouldn't have been possible for an artificial intelligence. "Well, Jake, sensors are detecting 3 more asteroids heading this way. Each one is approximately twice the size of the previous asteroid, composed of increasingly exotic matter, and traveling at near light speed." Jake looked up at the approaching rocks with the expression of a man who'd just been told it might rain later. "Great. Maybe one of them will knock the dust off my boots." As the paranoid delusion and its escort fleet retreated to what they hoped was a safe distance, Commander Kraloth made one final log entry. Personal note: humans are not, repeat not, the harmless construction workers they appear to be. They are naturally occurring weapons of mass destruction who happen to be really polite about it. Recommend immediate revision of all first contact protocols to include offerings of coffee and apologies for anything we might have accidentally done to offend them. The first of the new asteroids struck Jake Morrison with enough force to crack moons. The impact lit up sensor arrays across the system and briefly created a new type of radiation that scientists would spend decades trying to understand. When the dust settled, Jake was still there, now brushing off both shoulders with a satisfied expression. "Much better," he announced to the universe at large. "Now I can get back to work tomorrow with clean boots." And somewhere in the depths of space, the collective consciousness of every military strategist in the galaxy quietly updated their contingency plans to include a line item for keep the humans happy at all costs. The universe, it seemed, was a much more dangerous place than anyone had realized. Mostly because the nicest people in it were apparently indestructible.